Welcome back to the shop, everybody. This week's video takes place during week 3 of 2022, which is January 17th to January 23rd. As you can see, we're continuing work on installing the heater box in the car. We have that first mount in the top right there. We did that in the last video, and now what we're doing is we are marking it where we're going to install our bottom mount. Now that I have the rough location for the bottom mount, what I'm going to have to do is grab my grinder and grind all the paint off and get down to bare metal so that I can weld it. So I'm using a magnet to hold it in place. Yeah, so we got a couple of really nice good tacks on this. And we're just gonna get a few more. And you can start to see it a little bit. There's some smoke starting to come through the trans tunnel. Little tiny bit of orange flickering there. And through some of the holes on the firewall, you can see lights flickering, orange flickering. And that's because I lit that plastic bag on the other side of the engine bay on fire. Obviously, while it was on fire, my main goal was to get the plastic bag off of the engine. And what you're seeing here is the aftermath of what happened. So I pulled the plastic bag off, threw it on the ground, knew it wasn't a danger, grabbed the camera, showed you the plastic bag on fire, and then I just quickly showed you the top of the engine, and there's a whole pile of melted plastic all over it. It's in the intake runner. When I look down, it's on the camshaft itself. So that means that my original plan of keeping all the dirt out of the engine and everything else and not having to pull the engine apart just went out the goddamn window. I'm now going to have to pull the cam out at the very least just to make sure I get all the plastic off of it. I'm going to have to inspect all the rods, all the bearings, and everything else. And yeah, so it kind of sucks, but hey, it's a learning moment, you know? Make sure there's nothing flammable around what you're welding. You can see that the smoke is kind of leaving the garage right now. There was a ton of smoke in there. Yeah, lit the car on fire. It was fun. Well, now that our excitement for the day is over, let's get back to working on the mount for the heater box. So now that there's nothing flammable on the other side, I can go ahead and weld this in. So we're going to check the heater box, make sure that bottom mount is kind of where I want it on the firewall. And I think it is. I don't think I move it. Always good to get a test fit with the dash in there. Make sure everything is out of the way, nothing's gonna hit, and just make sure that everything's gonna work as I think it is. What the hell, we'll throw in the center console while we're at it, check and make sure everything just kind of fits in there like it's supposed to. Kind of nice to know that I'll be able to pull the heater box out of there when the dash is installed, hopefully, fingers crossed. You know the process by now. I gotta pull everything out so I can drill the bottom. Since that mark that I put on plate is right at the bottom of where I need, I know exactly where to drill. Not the worst thing in the world, it fits. And now I'm just gonna get ready to go for the third mount. I think you already know the process by now. Grind, weld, mark, drill, let's go. I'm really not sure why I took the back plate off before I just put it all back together, but I did, and we're mounting that back to the heater box. Then we're going to mount that plate to the backing plate that mounts into the car. So as I said before, if you can't make it perfect, make it adjustable, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to open up one of these holes and make it adjustable to fit it in the car. like this is going a little bit better. And I think right now the heater box is in there and kind of being held under its own mounting system. Like, I'm not having to hold it up. It's in the car, it's on there. Everything seems okay at this point. So what I'm thinking in my head now that I'm watching this all back is, do I really need that, the first mount that goes onto the heater box with the little tabs on the end that then mounts to the bigger backing plate? Or can I mount the heater box directly to that bigger backing plate to reduce any sort of flex in there? I'm gonna have to investigate this when I get this back out of the car, when I start working on this again, because it might be better to just put the heater box right against the back plate, but we'll see. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pull the bracket with the tabs off of it, off the main backing plate, and I'm going to remove some metal from the backing plate because I don't need as much metal on there as I have. So I'm going to draw out a couple of lines, and then I'm just going to remove some excess material, and that'll allow the plate to sit in the car a little bit nicer. Also looks like what I'm going to do here is I'm going to make those other two holes a little bit more adjustable. So for those of you who have watched my channel for a while, you'll know that this is the first car build I've done, and I do spend a ridiculous amount of time just looking at the car and trying to visualize where certain components are gonna go. You know, for this heater box, I gotta think about where my heater lines are gonna go. I gotta think about how I'm gonna route AC lines. I gotta think about where the dryer for the air conditioning system is gonna go. I got wiring to consider, so I'm just trying to figure out the best way to route all of that stuff and how it's going to go in the car, even though I don't even have some of the components right now. So maybe this is some wasted time. Maybe I shouldn't be worrying about it too much until I have those components, but it's who I am. I like to visualize and try and see how everything's gonna look at the end. Like, I have a picture in my mind as to how I want the car build to go, so I'm trying to visualize, how do I get there? How do I make everything clean? How do I make it look nice and presentable? Is it gonna be a show car? Probably not, but will it look good when I pop the hood? Yes, absolutely it will. For those of you who have been following my build, you'll probably notice this is a different plenum that I'm putting on top of the engine here. The one that I had before was a front-facing plenum, and this one's a side-facing plenum, and that's because I should be able to squeeze this one under the stock hood. There was just no way I was going to be able to get the front plenum under a stock hood, so I changed. I bought this one. I'm going to try this one, and we'll see how it goes. So like right there, I was just kind of marking, okay, well, this is where I think I'm going to have the wiring come through into the engine bay. For me, this is part of the car build process. Is it a bunch of nothingness? Yes, but it's part of my process, and I'm showing it all to you guys. And for myself, so I can go back and, you know, kind of see what I did, but it's important for me to show the entire process start to finish, no matter how boring or mundane it might be. Alright folks, it was a short one, but that's it for this week. I'd like to thank you all for watching.